Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a general mid-month reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. It's going to be shorter than the main monthly readings because it's only covering a 2-week period from the 15th to the 31st of May. So I'll pull 3 cards for your current energy, 3 cards for what's coming towards you, and 3 cards of advice. I'll try not to clarify it if at all possible, but we'll see how we go. Using the Shadowscapes deck for you today, because I do feel like it's inherently Piscean in nature and just works for you. So, the 3 cards for Pisces, please. There's the first one. I've got the 3 of Swords. So, do you know, this card was actually the only one that I really looked at properly on the Shadowscapes deck. Before I decided that I wanted it, because I had thought at initial sort of glance that it was a bit airy fairy and unicorns, but it was quite dark and brutal, and so I kind of liked it, but still utterly beautiful at the same time. Pisces, I've got the 7 of Wands here as well, Sagittarian I think energy. And the Page of Swords, right? It seems like you're sat in some fairly difficult energy at the moment. We've got the 10 of Cups at the bottom of the deck as the shadow card, but directly underneath that we've got the 6 of Swords, and it feels like there's been a discrepancy with how you thought a situation was and how it actually is. And this is what's come to light for you. And there's a notion of you needing to move away from it. But I feel resistance to that. So, like I said, the first card is the 3 of Swords. That's really difficult energy. It talks about heartbreak. You know, that's one. Yeah, it's just spear. And this can come in any form. You know, this could be a third-party situation. You know, a partner that you've discovered has been cheating on you or whatever. That's possible. But it can be applicable in all sorts of senses. You know, we see the 3 of Swords as a result of, you know, family spats or, you know, losing your job or anything like that. You know, it's something that kind of, I feel like it's something that you don't really see coming, or you didn't see coming, at least. You know, and that heart at the top there, it's kind of over the top of it. I feel like it adds to this notion that you thought things were one way, but they were actually another. Because it's left you feeling very defensive, very protective of yourself, and that's highly understandable with whatever this is that you're dealing with at the moment. And then we've got the Page of Swords. Now, the Page of Swords is kind of like it's the lowest echelon of the court hierarchy, right? So being a page, it's a messenger. So this is about information coming to you in whatever sense. This could come via a person, or this could be just something that you discover for yourself. You discover the information. But I'm drawn to this swan. It's kind of got its wings enveloped around this page and trying to kind of pull it up out of the way of whatever's going on underneath. Yeah. This 7 of Wands is the only card that's kind of earthbound. It's got a very stuck feeling for you. I mean, nobody likes to experience heartbreak anyway, but the 2 swans on the sides, there's a feeling of wanting to escape from it, right? Feeling of wanting to move away from it, but also being stuck here in the middle. I might just actually pull another card for the 7 of Wands. There's resistance here. Earthy resistance, even though it's a fire card. Where's the 7 of Wands here? Whoa. The 2 cards that you've got to clarify are Death and the 9 of Cups. It feels like an end to what you thought you had what it was that you thought that you wanted, because what you wanted isn't really there, you know, and that's why you're feeling resistant. At the bottom of the deck, we've got Ten of Swords. That speaks about endings as well, but it speaks of betrayal and humiliation. I'm kind of feeling like you're hitting rock bottom somewhat. Five of Cups underneath that suggests a level of emotional loss. You were grieving for something at the moment. Oh, Pisces, that's horrible for you. What's coming towards Pisces, please, for the last 2 weeks of May? Queen of Cups. Five of Wands and the Devil. Right. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Eight of Pentacles. And that talks about working at things in order to achieve mastery. You know, just as the spider is the master weaver, you know, creates its existence. We've got the Seven of Pentacles directly underneath that, which is like your current situation. You know, it's where you find yourself, and it's kind of like a sit rep. Like it's kind of, you're looking at your circumstances and saying, do I want to invest or do I want to divest from this, right? And it's interesting that the Eight of Pentacles should be directly atop that, because that's putting in the work, it's putting in the effort, you know. But it feels conflicted to me. And interestingly enough, directly underneath that, we've got the Five of Swords, and the Five is an unstable energy. So the Five of Swords is unstable communication, right? Sometimes it can be lying, it can be deceit, it can be, you know, dishonest communication. Sometimes it can be ghosting, you know, because it's that break in communication. But there's a sense of whatever communication is happening, it's not helping you at the moment. Because the Queen of Cups is in reverse here. And then we've got the Five of Wands. And then the Devil directly after that. Now, when the Queen of Cups is the right way up, she speaks about emotional receptivity, emotional maturity. You know, somebody who is open and giving and loving. Like they give and they receive in equal measure. Love, right? And it's your queen, right? It governs emotions. It's somebody who's emotionally available. When it's in the reverse, it's like an emotional lockdown, right? And it's funny, actually, who else was it who had that? It was Scorpio yesterday, actually. They had the same thing, Queen of Cups in reverse. Now, I always put my cards straight. Right? When I finish doing a reading, I always put them the right way up, because I'm quite careful about that sort of thing. So for it to come out twice reversed on the trot is interesting, and it's your sister water sign, Scorpio. But it feels like locking down to try and protect yourself a little bit, because then we've got the Five of Wands, which speaks very strongly of conflict, and then the Devil, which talks about fear. You know, and I feel like you are this character here at the bottom. It's kind of stuck. It's a card of Capricorn. There may be a Capricorn involved somewhere, but it's really difficult energy. Oh my God, excuse me. Tell me about this Queen of Cups in reverse. You've got the Moon, which is the card of Cancer. Interestingly, the Queen of Cups is Cancer as well. It's almost like you're locking down, but it's not. It's more of a withdrawal than you know, any of the really negative aspects of the Queen of Cups, because sometimes she could be very self-indulgent and she can be very emotionally manipulative, and I don't get that for you here. I get a sense of absolute withdrawal to try and process your feelings. Queen of Cups in reverse, please. We've got the Sun. Yeah. It's like the hope is there. Like, you know you will get through this, you know you will survive, but at the moment it's very, very difficult, and you know you've got a bit of a road ahead of you to tread. Interestingly, at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. I think that might have come up for every single sign that I've read for so far on this round of videos. And for me, this is a teaching moment, right? There's something about this that you are to learn, and that's an important way of learning to process what has occurred, because flipping your perspective into why has this happened to me, to why is this happening for me? What is this trying to teach me? I think, we've got the Queen of Cups underneath there, is a really valuable shift, right? Because what we're here for is to learn, right? We're souls having a human experience, and getting mired up in the 3D too much, where we go, why is this happening to me? This is awful. My life is terrible. That kind of thing, right? It kind of closes the door on being able to observe the lesson properly. I'll just throw that in there. So let's have a look at this Five of Wands. Why is this Five of Wands here? We've got the Hermit, which is the card of Virgo, another card of introspection. Why is the Five of Wands here? Eight of Pentacles flipped there. It's internal conflict. The Five of Wands and the Hermit together speaks very much of the internal space, very much of this withdrawal, very much of this, like, how do I fucking get out of this, intact, emotionally intact. But I feel like it's because you're in this energy, of do I invest or do I divest? We've got the Page of Cups at the bottom here, which talks about messages of love. I mean, maybe you've had an apology from someone, maybe you've issued an apology to someone else. But we've got this Knight of Cups here. And it's funny, I'm looking at this horse, and there's always movement implied by the knights, but this one's kind of still. But can you see how it's kind of leaning forward? It's almost like the knight's not letting it move, but the horse kind of is just like trying to lean towards something. Like, the source of your conflict is not knowing whether to stay or to go. That's clear. And I think it's also clear that your heart kind of wants to stay. But has too much happened? Has too much occurred? That's the question. Let's have a look at this Devil. Why is this Devil here for Pisces, please? Oof. Why is this Devil here for Pisces? At the bottom of the deck now, we've got the Ace of Pentacles, and that's a solid new start, right? That is something that you can see in the 3D. Sometimes it's a new job, it's a new house, something like that. Some sort of transition from one state to another. It's starting again, I feel, in your case. But what's come up to clarify the Devil is the Knight of Wands and the Fool. So it could be a Capricorn coming towards you, potentially. But I'm not really happy with this energy here, because this is an energy of no commitment, right? And whatever this is, there is a very strong emotional component in it for you, right? And so that is kind of by definition invested and committed. This isn't here. But this is the card of the new start. And clarifying the Devil, it seems like well, as the cards lie on my table, right, here, this Knight is actually moving this way and backwards, right? No commitment, kind of high fun, low effort sort of energy about it. But it's moving backwards towards this, whereas everything else is kind of moving that way, ultimately to the Fool. And your conflict is being afraid, I think, of starting something new. Like, there's a comfort to going back to what you know, and then, like, nobody's going to judge you for that. It's everyone's experienced it at some point. But because the Wheel of Fortune came up for you, I feel like this is trying to teach you a lesson about something, right? And it's maybe trying to guide you in a particular way, because that's the other way that I see the Wheel of Fortune. It's like divine orchestration. Yeah, everything's happened exactly as it was supposed to. Now, what do you take from this, and how do you move on? Do you move forwards or do you move backwards? It's a question for you. Right. Let's get some advice for Pisces, please. Whoa, it's the Wheel of Fortune and the Lovers there, right? Wheel of Fortune is everything like that I just said, but the Lovers is a decision, right? It's a big life decision that you need to make. I'm not going to take them because they didn't jump, but it was interesting that they showed the faces there together. 3 cards of advice for Pisces, please. Whoa. And those ones all leapt out together. At the bottom of the deck now, we've got the Hanged Man, and that's your card, Pisces, right? Right there. And it talks about, well, it talks about a lot of things, but this one particularly is about willingly submitting to a change of perspective about stuff. And I feel like this is where the resistance is. You know, when we're talking about going back to what is comfortable, right? This is something that you're being asked to change your perspective on. There he is, right? Directly underneath that, we've got the Star, which is the card of Aquarius, but it talks about healing and trust and hope and vision of the future. You know, when we talk about following our guiding star, like, everybody understands what that means. It's about putting trust in something kind of maybe outside of yourself to guide you in the right place, right? Divine orchestration. The Fool is also a card of trust. It's a card of trusting that everything's going to be okay, right? It never occurs to the Fool that things won't be okay. But you're struggling with that at the moment. Now, the cards of advice that we've got are the 4 of Cups, the 9 of Wands, the Knight of Swords, and the 4 of Wands. Now, the 4 of Cups talks about missed opportunities. It talks about taking things for granted. It talks about rejection. So as a card of advice, it seems to be suggesting to me that you need to look at what is troubling you specifically about the rejection. I mean, sometimes, you know, what we're really reacting to is being rejected by, you know, someone else in the past. You know, it quite often tracks back to childhood, you know, and that kind of compounds the feeling of rejection we have as adults when it occurs. You know, some of us don't deal with that very well, but it seems to be kind of suggesting that spending this time staring at your reflection in the water is the best way to kind of guarantee you withering away, fading away. Like it looks to me like Narcissus rather. I'm not suggesting that you are staring at your own reflection because you're so beautiful, but it's the same kind of thing. Staring at the pool of water, staring at the emotions, kind of not really seeing them for what they are, because what you're seeing is a reflection, and being so stuck on it that you then, you know, you forget to eat and you fade away. The 9 of Wands is a card that talks about boundaries. Talks about having to fight sometimes. But together, and especially with the Wheel of Fortune, maybe an examination of your boundaries is something that needs doing. If somebody has overstepped your boundaries and you let them, right, that's for you to kind of pull that back and reinstall those boundaries, definitely. Then we've got the Knight of Swords, and this talks about movement, right? All the knights, like I said, very much talk about movement. And whereas in this one, this was quite static but sort of leaning, this one, we've got this big kind of peacock-esque bird thing that this knight has leapt on the back of and is definitely ready to take off. But being swords, it talks about communication, whether that's internal or externally expressed. So, you know, how we think and how we talk to other people. It's time to make a shift in some way and head towards the 4 of Wands, because the 4 of Wands is my card of home, right? It's those things that are really important to us that feel like home. Because these two are kind of headed directly straight for each other, right? These animals are bounding this way and this one's coming here. It's like a collision of your perception, right? The way that you think about things and what it is that you actually want, those things that feel like home to you. It's kind of time for reassessment, I think, and work out how it is that you, Pisces, move forwards off the back of it, because you cannot sit in this energy for too long without, you know, starving and leaving just an echo of yourself behind. So if this resonated with you, I'm really sorry. But try and think about what I said about, you know, finding the lesson, because it is a teaching moment for you. I just feel really sad now. It's really, really sad. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'll do an extended for this, so if it resonated, have a look in the description box. I'll put a link to the video down there. And take care, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks for the June monthlies.